Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Dan, and that is Sal. And we get together on a frequent basis to talk about all of your favorite superhero-related media, from movies to TV shows to just fun theories and trailers. But that also means that we watch a lot of movies and shows in general. And we also have other hobbies, such as Star Wars. And today we're going to be talking about our full opinion on all 9 episodes of Star Wars Visions, combining 2 of my favorite things, anime and Star Wars.
How can you go wrong?
It was great.
You would think that, but some of these show that. So since these are all between the length of, I think the shortest one I could see here right now is 15 minutes and the longest one is 23 minutes.
Yes.
We are going to basically just go through each episode, give our opinions on each one and complaints, problems, stuff like that. We may be a little fuzzy on some of these, as all of us have watched bits and pieces of this over the last week so we can do the show. So I apologize if we forgot your favorite moment on one of the ones we didn't think too heavily of. I'm just saying it now, because someone's going to be like...
Yeah. Plus,
You're
they
right.
go through so quickly, it's very easy to miss something.
It's true.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so starting at the top, The Duel.
Strong start.
Yeah.
Story-wise, combat-wise, yes. The art almost made me go, I'm not on board with this.
What?
Yeah.
I am 100% with you there. When it started, it took me a minute to really, appreciate the art, but at first... I feel like if I wasn't here, on this show, I would have been like, if it's all going to look like this, I'm not sure if I can do this.
Oh,
It grew on me. Once,
It
the
grew on me.
color started, but...
And that was within 15 minutes. I got hooked on it. Was like, yeah, here we go,
Yeah.
But those first 5 minutes, it reminded me of recently they just came out with the latest episode of American Horror Story, Alien, and they started the episode in black and white to show Roswell in the 1950s.
Right.
And at first I was like, well, this is kind of cool. But by 10 minutes in, I was like, if this is the
ready for
last
color.
6 episodes, I might not be watching this. And that's kind of how I felt about Duel, but in the reverse, where it started and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get on board at this, but by 5 to 10 minutes in, with how short this is, I was like, okay, no, I can feel it. It allows you to get more atmospheric and you get to really feel the red of the lightsabers and the glows, the way it bounces off of the color scheme. I did like it, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I would have taken a full-length movie with this. It was just everything I wanted from Star Wars, particularly the premise. And I don't know, I've been very critical of Star Wars in my lifetime, and especially as new entries come in. But and maybe it's because I'm world weary about Star Wars. But when they came up with this premise where they're like, it's different anime studios doing Star Wars, I'm like, cool. So it's their own thing. It's not necessarily in continuity at all. They're just taking the IP and going ham on it. And I'm like, go for it. The crazier the better, knock yourselves out. And when they do things that I've always wanted to see, because George Lucas was all about Kurosawa and other Eastern influences on his Western IP, you're like, this is it's like everything that George was not able to think of. That umbrella lightsaber. I was just like, this is amazing.
Just to talk about this as a whole, I think every use of the lightsabers in here was just incredible. Every time they bring out something new, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, we're going all in on these lightsabers. Every episode had a lightsaber in it, and each lightsaber was not like a lightsaber I'm used to.
Yeah, and one thing I loved about this, though, it reminded me, because I'm a huge Matrix fan, and I remember getting really into the idea of the Animatrix, and that's what this reminded me of when it was coming out. Everyone having different visions and opinions. And some of it looks like it would fit in continuity, and some of it does not look like it would fit in continuity.
Right.
But it doesn't matter, because it's just here to tell a fun story with a cool animation style. Dan, I'd love to see you. Have you ever seen Animatrix? I know you're youngest.
I don't think so, actually.
I think you'd like it. I think you'd actually like it, because it takes the concepts of the Matrix, puts it in anime, which was just like Star Wars, influenced by a lot of that earlier stuff. So.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing of it, but at the time that wasn't the kind of thing that I was into, so I just kind of brushed it off.
Yeah.
Right.
What did you think about this first one, Dan?
I really did like it. I'm not sure, but it reminded me a lot of, I can't remember the name of the Batman film, but the one with Red Basket, where it went in a very interesting, unique art style for
Batman
samurai
Ninja.
stuff. Batman Ninja, that's the one. I got that vibe at first, but honestly, once this episode, the second he brought out his samurai sword lightsaber, I was like, I'm sold. I am down for this. Once I really got into this episode, probably in my top 3 of the episodes that came out.
Yeah.
So next up, we got episode 2, Tatooine Rhapsody. This is the one for me that really showed me that this is going to show ideas that we've never even considered. Because the first one was Jedi Samurai, which is great. Loved it. But the second one, I was like, oh, what stories can you tell with no limits?
Yeah.
Right.
This was the story about the guy who basically was a Padawan and just wants to make a band. That's all it is. Like,
Yeah.
I was waiting for the big finale where he whips out the lightsaber and he starts chopping up Jabba's goons. But no,
Right.
the plan was sponsor us.
Yes. Genius. That's so clever. And it's it was just fully coolly Star Wars, which I'm like, huh, I didn't expect that. Way to go. And it was such a brilliant move on their part because, like, while I do think that the duel was my favorite, and it was like, it never really got as high as that for me, it was brilliant for them to then do Tatooine Rhapsody because then it's like, we're doing anything. You know, because if they had done the last episode for the second episode, it would have been like, oh, they're all going to be like sad and dark and, you know, clearly samurai influenced. And it's like, no. We're going to go all over the place. And Tatooine Rhapsody goes all over the place in a way where I'm like, okay, if I were in high school, I would have thought this was really dumb. But I also would have never admitted by the end of it that I loved it. And I do love it now. And I have nobody to impress, so I'm totally down with it.
I also loved the idea of, like, I can't remember what he was, but Jabba's son, cousin, family member, gang member,
Right?
whatever
Nephew
he was.
or something.
He's a hunt of
Yeah.
some kind.
And he's just like, I just want to jam.
Adorable.
What did you think about it, Dan?
I really liked it because it showed the range that they were going to go with these different shows. Like you were saying, it's not always going to be about Jedis fighting Sith. I liked that. I was a little sad that there was no part where, like, they're just sitting in like a cantina and they're like, man, this music is always the same. Let's make our own.
Right. Yeah, what's the origins of this band?
No.
Yeah. But I really liked it. I thought it was great. And honestly, the music they played was also really good. I would buy an album from those kids. Actually, I will say that was the one thing with that episode. I had no idea how old anyone was because Boba Fett looked like he was a teenager, and I don't think he was supposed to be a teenager.
No.
It was just that art style from that studio. I've seen a few of their works before. They just do everyone of that, like, younger looking kind of chibi, not chibi look. So
Yeah, exactly.
So the next one's from one of my favorite animation studios, Studio Trigger, and this is the one for me that was like, oh, so we're not even going to try to put these in canon.
Oh, no.
It's the twins.
The twins.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was. This is one of my favorites. It was literally just fight. That's all
Yeah.
this really was.
Yup.
Like,
Yep.
with the most insane things ever. Like, I can't remember the characters' names, but we'll go just boy and girl. But the girl, when she pulled out like 6 arms and she's like black,
Yes.
and he's blocking
Yeah.
them all with one. When they made the lightsaber huge and they cut the Death Star or the Star Destroyer in
Yes.
half.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
like, I've been joking about that idea forever, and to see it actually happen, at least in animation form, I'm like, there it is. Yup. It's
Yeah.
doing the thing.
It's doing the thing.
Yeah, my only thing was I was like, all right, so you're going to breathe in outer space? Damn. Like, that. I was like, and only because they missed an opportunity for us to have some really fun kind of like sci-fi anime bubble helmet situation going on. But, you know, I quickly, it wasn't like I was upset because there was a lack of realism in this cartoon. I was like, this is just fun.
This reminded me of I can't remember the name of the game, but Star Killer from those old 2 games.
Oh, The Force Unleashed?
Yeah, where he's just so powerful. They're like,
He's
no, he's
just
in
Goku
canon.
in Star Wars. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, they're like, he's in canon. He's in canon. Like, no, there's no way he's in canon. Like,
No.
I get you're saying it, but he's not.
Right. Yeah. Just like all the books are in canon. We get you.
Dan, what did you think about the twins? Because this also felt to me like right up your alley of
This
anime.
was the shonen episode, and I freaking loved it. I saw this episode, and I was like, okay, make a season of this. Give me this story, because I would watch so much of it. Because it, like, the art style, everything about it just worked so well. I love this one.
Can we also comment how they very clearly were telling their version of Luke and Leia?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
He had
100%.
Luke's outfit. He had his own R2, which I think was just R2 spelled differently.
Yep.
Like,
It was
yeah.
our duo. That's
Our
what it
duo.
was.
and then he just
Okay.
had a sister who went evil. It just,
Yeah.
when she busted out 6 arms, I'm like, oh, we're just going all out. She's Grievousing this up.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is The Village Bride.
Yes.
Oh, I started it.
Oh no, it's begun.
I found this one to be meh-ish. For the record, I did like all of these, but if you got to rank like on a tier system with these,
Sure.
this is definitely sort of the lower ones for me. Because it was just her learning the village, the customs, kind of, then defending it. You know, it seemed very stereotypical, kind of like just like that samurai shogun warrior and all that kind of stuff going on. So
Yeah, loved it.
like I said, I loved this whole series. I did.
Yeah.
I don't want people to be like, "Oh, Benny hated The Village Bride."
No, of course.
I'm just saying, if I have to rank them on a tier, this was on the lower end of those tiers.
Yeah.
There's only one episode out of all of these that I disliked and thought it was just I didn't like it at all. But we'll get to that.
I also just to speak on The Village Bride, there was one thing I was like, huh, yeah, okay. And it's when she's wearing that mask to hide her face and you're like, oh no, she must be horribly disfigured. And it's like one little nick. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah. The mask goes off. She's got this one thing that's barely noticeable,
like,
and I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
oh.
you must be so self-conscious.
I mean, to be fair, it was a cool looking mask, though. Maybe that
Dope
was the full
mask.
reason
Oh,
she was
no.
like, "Oh, this looks awesome."
Listen, Kylo needed no excuse to wear a mask.
He just wore it for the
Yeah,
sake
he
of
just
it.
wore
like,
it because he's a fanboy, and he looked. Don't cover up that face. It's Adam Driver. That face is money.
Yeah, I would say it's on the lower of my tier list for probably 2 reasons. One, I'm a lot more of an action guy, so slower episodes are a little harder for me to get into. But I also felt like this one following after the twins just made it seem like even more of a slowed down episode because we just got the shonen full action, full fighting, and then you
Yeah.
jump into this one and it's like nice and calm. It was
Yes.
clearly them going, okay, people are going to binge this. Let's let them breathe a little bit in the middle of the show. Let's like put one of them in there. Still a good episode, but yeah, on the lower of my tier.
I do want to say, as a whole, for all of these, I don't have any complaints about any of the animation other than the opening of the duel. And then once the lightsabers came out and that you could see the point of doing that, like watercolor black and white thing.
Yeah.
Like every episode, the animation was solid for me. I loved it, every single one of them. It flowed. It felt great.
There's one other that the animation style, I was personally like, but
Yes,
we'll get
there was
to that.
one where I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to it probably.
Yeah.
The Ninth Jedi.
Oh,
That,
I'll take a
that
movie.
one was my favorite. Yeah, that one was
Yeah.
without a doubt my favorite episode in this entire series.
I will, as a
I'm
Star
mixing
Wars
these together.
guy.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's the girl that. Yeah, it's the girl that ran off. That was.
Oh.
That episode solidified this for me. This whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's
So
not.
good.
There's not going to be a dud.
No.
We've gotten halfway through, and the Ninth Jedi is such a strong episode.
Yes, I will. As a Star Wars guy, I'm like, you can't change the color of the lightsaber based on your moods, but who cares? Again,
But-
and then I was like, right, it's a separate studio, it's doing its own thing, and it worked thematically in the universe that it was being presented.
That's
I'm
what
like,
I say. You needed that moment where they all turned them on, and it all came out as red, and that
I
one
know,
guy's
like,
like,
oh!
like when that happened, because when she gets over there, I'm like, these guys are getting kind of sus. Like this is, they're
Yeah.
asking a lot of questions. Oh, do you know? You know, and then like, I was just like, oh no!
yeah, great
well, that
moment.
and like when she's fighting and like the green starts shining through, you're like, yes,
Yeah.
do it.
Yes, that was solid. Solid
So I
episode.
loved that episode. I think this is probably my favorite of the episodes.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I would watch a series of her becoming a full Jedi, and I love
Right.
that this one got left on a cliffhanger. It's like the
Yeah.
studio was like, look. I mean, if you
Yeah,
want, if
they
you
knew
You
want,
want
to
more? Oh, they're all of these are just. I mean, it's just shameless how each of them is just for Disney to go. Yes, we'll make a show out of this, and we'll use that too. And,
Honestly, it's
no,
genius.
Not that one.
It's an entire season of pilots.
Yes,
That's
Like,
what it
it's-
is. Yeah.
And
Yes.
there's so many of these that legitimately, if they made it into a full series, I would watch the full series.
totally.
Like,
The Ninth Jedi and the Duel reminded me that the sound design in all these episodes is phenomenal, and the integration of original sound plus familiar Star Wars sounds does this beautiful marriage of the new studio and Star Wars to the point where I'm like, in the Ninth Jedi we have swoop bikes, and it's just it works so well. And I'm like, yes. Yes.
All right, so this
Toby.
brings Toby, yeah, number 6. I really liked Toby, but I was watching this and I hit up Sal midway through it and I'm like, is episode 6 just Mega Man?
Yeah,
Mega
it's
Man with a
Mega Man.
lightsaber?
It's Mega Man. Dan, you had another show.
Astro Boy.
It's
Yeah.
Astro Boy. It's
Yeah.
Astro Boy meets Mega Man. It's because Dr. Light is just that Jedi.
Yeah, he is. His hair is all poofy. Because at first I'm like, I think I've seen this before. And then
Right.
like he's running around and doing his, I mean, it's Mega Man. It's just Mega Man. We're watching Mega Man as an anime Jedi. I'm on board.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
2B or Toby or TOB1 is 1981, 1977 anime, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's really I was so checked out in it because I'm like, this is for babies, and I'm not saying that in like a derogatory sense, but it's like it's
It's clearly a more child-aimed episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
it still works as an adult. And as an adult, you can watch it and go like, "Oh, I really like how they're doing this, that, the other thing." And it's sad. The Jedi doesn't make it and everything like that. The dude's arms are chopped off. He's using the Force as an extension of himself. I'm like, "Yup, that what you did so many things in the prequels. You didn't do that." There's General Grievous is running around, and you didn't do that.
Yeah.
There's no way you didn't chop
Right.
off arms. But yeah, and the design of TOB1 is great. It was just like I was like, this is Astro Boy, this is Mega Man, this is a cartoon from like this is a relic, and it's
Yeah.
and I'm all for it. But it wasn't my cup of tea in terms of like, give me a whole 70 episode manga series of this. Like I want to read the books. I want to give you I don't need a TOB1
I
figure.
would've.
I'm good.
I'd have
You would take
the
that?
TOB1 figure right there on that shelf right there.
I don't blame you.
Dan, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I was kind of middle of the road with this one. I thought it was fun. I thought it was cool, but compared to some of the other episodes, it wasn't like top of the list or anything.
Well, we have different opinions than guys.
Yes, I will say I thought this was going to be my least favorite episode, and I was proven wrong by the next episode.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say. So there's 2 episodes that I rank as like you could have dropped these. They're not terrible.
No.
But at no point was I hyped during these. And the next one is one of those. Episode 7, The Elder.
Yep.
It felt like it was
Which one
setting
was
up
that?
so much stuff
The old
that
man.
never happened.
oh,
The old man with the
and-
2 daggers.
Yeah, okay.
Like it felt like it was setting up so many different ideas and stuff like that at the beginning. Okay, you go here, I'll go to the mountains, or you might run into the bad guy. Oh, are you betraying me? Do you not trust me? Like, and I'm like, oh, okay. And it just was a fight with the old man, and who then they say is he's not Sith now. Maybe one day he was. Like,
Right.
Right.
it was. I didn't like this one that much. Like, I watched it. It was fine. I wouldn't. If I had to drop 2, this is one of the 2 I would have dropped.
Easily. The Elder could have benefited. I watched a lot of these with in English. The Elder might have been saved by only watching it in Japanese because the dialogue was death.
Yeah,
And,
it was flat. So flat.
So flat. The performances were really weak, and the animation. And that's the only point when I was like, oh, like you're saving time. Like we're shooting from behind them so we don't have to animate their terrible mouths. I was like, this is not top tier. Especially
No.
when it's like you're 6 episodes deep into this show, and then you get to episode 7 and it's like it's just a complete drop in
And
what
you can
looks
tell
to
that
be
there's a reason why
quality.
this was towards like they didn't open with the Elder. They
No.
they put this in the back half.
You would have lost 25%
Yeah.
of your audience.
Oh,
Yeah.
easily.
Where it's at, I just kept going. Like, oh, okay, well, I've seen so many good episodes
Same.
at this point. Yeah.
And I was rewarded. That fight with the Elder was cool. Admittedly, it was cool. It did
Once
the thing
again-
I've always wanted to see, which is rain on a lightsaber. And yes, I did see that on Camino. It was weak AF. They didn't do it properly. They did it in this, where like the steam comes off the saber, and it's like that long, lonely shot between. I'm like, this is good. But it wasn't worth the like 4.5 minutes to get here.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I don't think any of these episodes are terrible to the point where I'd be like, oh my God. This wasn't like Loki walking on a planet with Sylvie and nothing happening. This
Yeah, we're not even gonna talk about that one.
No.
just this is one of the weakest of the episodes. Dan, what did you think?
Yeah, I felt like the pacing on this one just felt very off because it felt like it had the Village Bride pacing of just a lot slower of an episode, but hyping you up for clearly this big fight that for me personally, it didn't have the payoff that I was hoping for. Like it wasn't, and even the guy says, he's like, man, like, I don't know if I would have won if he was back in his prime. And so it's like,
okay, that's the fight I want to see then.
exactly, exactly. I want to see them at their top of their power, like truly see why this guy is so dangerous, as opposed to just, oh, I won because he's too old.
Yeah.
I mean, he gave him a run for his money. That was really cool. And I love the idea of there being like a kind of anti-Yoda. I was kind of all for it. It was just like, this could have been the shortest episode. If they had dropped all of the stuff with the Jedi and his Padawan and all that nonsense, and we just got to a Padawan goes too fast, he encounters the old guy, Jedi shows up, avenges him, we'd be having a different conversation.
Right.
I felt like they just wanted to do a fight, and they had to pad out that opening because, like I said, a lot of what they were talking about felt like we were setting up in a different direction. And
Exactly.
It just all kind of played by the numbers.
Plus, that kid definitely died, right?
Yeah.
They killed him, and then like halfway through, they're like, nah. I'm like, what? Just kill him. At least then you have like some cojones, and instead it's just kind of like, you wanted to do a 4-minute fight, but you weren't allowed to do a 4-minute episode. Okay.
Right.
Next up, we got episode 8, Lop and Ocho, and I loved this episode.
Yes.
But at any point, has a funny bunny girl been in Star Wars? That I just felt, has it?
Really?
First of all, they're called Lepi.
Oh, my bad.
And yes, there are rabbit characters in Star Wars. And no, I'm not just a secret furry and I'm pretending to justify her existence. No, this was one of those things where...
You are 100% right. Okay, yeah.
No, I remember... I was like, when I saw her, I'm like, oh my God. Because, okay, when Marvel had the Star Wars license in the beginning, I think Howard Chaykin and Roy Thomas created a green rabbit character.
Yeah, I just named
Jaxon. And Jaxon, George was so pissed. He was like, this is not Star Wars. This is a stupid rabbit character. Hilariously, he will invent his own stupid rabbit character later, who no one would like, and his name is Jar Jar Binks. But Jaxon was this source of contention, and it was like, yeah, he's just Bucky O'Hare. But for us to come full circle and have a rabbit character come back to Star Wars and have me really care about them and have the animation of this episode was just phenomenal, and I loved
the story was great, animation great,
loved it,
sound design was great, everything was great. The only issue I had with it, and it's not even an issue, it's just like the whole time the what do you call it, Lepi?
Oh yeah, whatever. That is Legends, by the way. That ain't canon anymore.
But what I'm saying is, and this isn't even a negative towards that. I mean, obviously, I play a lot of video games, watch a lot of anime that have anthropomorphic animal characters.
Totally.
It's just looking at it in the Star Wars setting for me was like, is this normal? Like,
right.
What did I miss? When did we start doing this over here? Because like every alien looks like an alien, not like an anthropomorphic animal.
Except for Ewoks.
That's true. Yeah, they have the teddy bears.
But you know what? They did such a good. They did this great device where they showed them. They didn't show them hopping around. We didn't see them in their villages. I don't know, living in adorable wicker baskets. We saw them in slavery, being like marched away. And
which is how she starts too.
Right, and I'm like, that's such a great device to go like, I want to do a rabbit character that like that the internet's gonna draw into like oblivion, but let's
they
justify
turned her into the cutest anthropomorphic rabbit character ever too.
Right,
like she is like
yeah. Oh my God! There was like a big percentage of the internet that was like, "Oh my God, they just merged them all." Judy Hopps meets Star Wars.
Oh, Judy Hopps from Furtopia. It's what Dan said that. I was like,
Zootopia.
I was like, what? No, Furtopia.
Furtopia.
No, it's Furtopia.
I'm calling
now.
it Furtopia from now on. That's
it.
You know that movie was. They said they didn't realize they were leaning into the furry audience, and then they just leaned in once they realized it.
Right. First of all, I don't buy that for a second. I think
they've got naked animals in the sanctuary scene. They're not appealing to the furries. Okay.
Yeah. No, they get like, they take a drug and they get all like savage.
Yeah.
They rip their clothes off. Oh no. Yeah, go ahead.
The thing I really liked about the art style for her was that she truly looked like a rabbit, but in no way did you look at her and go, oh, this is just a kid's it's like a funny rabbit in a thing. No, you're like, oh my gosh, this rabbit's going to turn out to be a badass.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. No, there's so much about this. Not just the rabbit. Everything else in this was also great. The vehicle design, the weapons, the villains. There's a great device they use where they show this crane, and it like works thematically, visually, so perfectly into the Jedi crest, and it like blends this element of like Japanese influence with Star Wars, which is like intrinsic within it, which is why this works so well. But like that crane, my wife was just like. Like it was great. Just amazing.
This episode in Ninth Jedi, I feel, would have benefited entirely by giving it 45 minutes, an hour.
Yeah, give me a whole movie.
My only complaint with this one is by being contained to 20 minutes, I feel like we did a crazy turn from we're all a happy family to no father.
Oh, immediately.
Cut off the hair. Ah!
That was very accelerated. But,
like breaking the droid at the end, which I'm not gonna lie, I was like, no.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
She collected
TD,
him.
I think his name was TD.
Yeah, she'll collect him to fix him. They'll fix it.
But like this one in Night Jedi, I just feel like needed more time. The concept is so sound, the story is such a great idea. If we had gotten more time, I feel like these two could have been like the best of the best. Like they are my favorite episodes. But
yeah, same.
Yeah,
I feel like it could have been better if we just got more time.
Did they the family sword or the family was that a lightsaber that was engraved?
I think so.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened before?
I've never seen that.
Because that was really cool.
Dan, you can't ask that question on any of these. Like,
Well, I mean, I would never have thought rabbit people had happened before, but apparently they have,
did.
so you never know.
I'm sure that there is a lightsaber where the hilt was made of like a rancor tusk and it was like etched with bone. Like I've no doubt that there's a bone lightsaber. So I would imagine that there's probably etched sabers. But even if there haven't been, like it makes sense. And it works so well. Every lightsaber design in this whole series was great. This one was no exception. The lightsaber looked great. The box, the whole ceremony. I was like, this is working.
So for our last episode, number 9, Akakiri. I'm divided on this one because I didn't like this episode, but I love how it ended.
Yeah.
That just like, what? No. Okay.
Yeah. This was similar to Duel in terms of like tone, but more macabre, more sad, more melancholy. But yeah, I dug it. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as a lot of the other ones.
Exactly. That's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was my least favorite art style, I think.
I like the art style,
the different
but it was
animations, for me, this one, it wasn't like the Duel where it grew on me. This one, I was like, okay, this is happening.
Right.
I really love the twist at the end where he gets tricked into killing her.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, you can revive her with Sith power. Come with me, apprentice. You know, I was like, oh.
Also, where the hell were you when Anakin was having trouble? I mean, he would have loved. It would have been a very different trilogy.
He revives Padme with the Sith powers.
Right?
Could you imagine that one?
Yeah, I want that Infinities episode. Yeah, I really liked the design. I liked everything about it. I love the kind of like lone Ronin Jedi character who's like, I guess like it's a holdover from his protection. It's like kind of like a cracked mirror version of the Padme Anakin relationship. I liked it, and that's all I could say about it. I didn't think it was like amazing, but I did. No. I did enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it as much as Duel or even La Pinocho, but I did appreciate it. I loved the device they used for like the vision, you know, like for the visions that he's getting. So I knew when he's having those visions, I'm like, oh, I know what's going to happen here. And I was like,
oh, he's just killing mindless, faceless foes. Oh yeah, I'm sure that's going to stay that way.
Yeah, right. I'm sure he's just looking at a highlights reel of how awesome he's going to be. Yeah, that's not going to come back and bite him. But even still, I was like, there's something here. The sound really helped, like, because the visuals I get the complaint, but like, I kind of dug it. Especially because I'm glad it didn't look like another one similarly, and then just have it be a derivation or some kind of like, oh, this is just a poor man's Duel. Like, no, it's its own thing, and it's a sad end to the whole series. I hope we get more.
I feel like La Pinocho would have been a better finale.
I feel like The Ninth Jedi would have been a better finale because it's episode 9.
Yeah, not only that, but it also ends on such a cliffhanger. You're like, oh, and so you're watching. You're like, as opposed to Akakiri, where you're like, oh,
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, that's cool though.
Okay,
You do
so
feel that way.
we can all agree that overall we liked all 9 of these. But
Yeah.
if you got to
Yeah.
pick your 2 favorites and your 2 least favorites, what do you got? For me, it's Ninth Jedi, Lapa de Ocho for the tops.
Yes.
Because I just love the story development of those. I feel the weakest 2 were the Elder and Akakiri.
Fair enough.
I'm going first. Well, Dan, why don't you go first?
Yeah, go
second, so before we take all of them.
Well, my favorite was without a doubt the Ninth Jedi. I actually cannot pick between the Duel and La Pinocho for my second, so I'm gonna just go ahead and be that guy that chooses 3. And my lowest one was probably just the Elder. Like that one, like the rest of them all had aspects to them like, this is pretty good, but if I did have to put 2 down there, probably Village Bride, just because of the pacing on both of those did not fit
You just
my
weren't a
style.
fan of it. I could see that argument with how short these are. Doing slow pacing is very difficult.
And
Like
it's
you don't
not
have
just-
an hour to do slow,
Right.
crazy action. You know,
Right.
But if
And
they
it's
can
not
pull it
just
off,
that,
it's a hat
it's-
trick. Like
Plus,
when you only
there's
have
all
8 minutes.
these other ones.
Yes,
that's my problem.
I hear you.
But sorry.
The Duel obviously is one of my favorites, and it's really tough. I think I'm gonna go with La Pinocho in terms of my second favorite. I did love The Ninth Jedi, but I just like I like the animation on La Pinocho better.
yeah, animation
That's very
is still
fair.
so good.
And as far as the lowest, it's got to be The Elder and TOB1. TOB1.
Oh, really?
It's growing on me. Like I get it, and when you just put the reality of having a TOB1 droid in my house, I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I kind of like that. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it never appealed to me as a kid. Astro Boy. So like. It's not like it's going to start
I was
appealing
an
to me
Astro
now.
Boy Mega Man kid. That was me. So I could see where we're differing on this
Yeah,
one. You know?
I appreciate it as its own thing. It wasn't for me, so I can easily say like my lowest favorite. But The Elder is the least favorite in terms of just the animation and the horrible pacing in the beginning and the really like lousy dialogue. The Elder had its own strengths that I do adore, and I think overall, comparatively speaking, it is a triumph. It's just my least favorite.
Well, it's like you said. I think when you put it with the way you put it best. I feel like they just had a really solid fight sequence.
Yeah.
And they were trying to build around it. It reminds me of way back in the day. There was when I was a kid, there was an anime fight sequence that came out that everyone freaked out about called Black Rock Shooter. That they then tried to turn into an anime and a franchise, and it never took off the way that fight sequence did. That fight
Yeah.
sequence hit the fucking stratosphere.
Totally.
The rest of the stuff they made, not so much.
Right.
So it just kind of reminded me of that.
That's fair. Interesting.
I had a thought of how I think The Elder could have been a much better episode.
Yeah.
Would have been if it started off with a fight in the past of the Master when he was young.
Yeah.
Fighting the Elder so that it goes full circle and he eventually fights him again. Obviously, he would lose back then, but then when I think something like that could have increased the pace and make you at least more like, I want, okay, I'm interested, as opposed to, okay, you're just standing in the rain while your Padawan's doing this stuff, man.
Right.
What do you-
Let me build off of that. Let's take that and run with it. You do that exact same premise where it opens with a fight, it ends with a fight. It's the Elder. He's less elderly in the beginning.
Elderly.
But the Jedi who fights the Elder at the end is the Padawan whose Jedi is killed by the Elder in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like you do get to have the stakes of like he's killed, he gets revenge, or whatever Jedi would get.
I like even the worst episodes. I feel like all of these would have done better with just 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
Even
No.
the duel, even like just 10 more minutes in every single one of these. If you had just made each of these a 30-minute episode, you could have just expanded on so much of what you've built.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm so thankful that we only got what we have. I'm like, I love it. I love it as it is. I feel like La Pinocho is one of those things where that is a show, and they were like, we have a show, like secretly.
Well, Night Jedi felt like that.
Night
Like, it
Jedi
felt-
is like, but Night Jedi is an episode, whereas La Pinocho is like a season of an anime in one episode.
It really is. It's a full movie.
I
that is
feel
cut out.
like they showed us like episode 1, and then they skipped 2 through 18, and then they just brought us to 19.
Because, like, what are you going to see? Them fishing, them, like, falling in love with boys, moving on. Like, no, we get it. They're sisters, and that it's sad. Like, we don't need 19 episodes. This is why I don't normally watch anime. I'm like, oh, a lot of filler here.
I will give them a lot of credit though with the La Pinocho, that even though we can agree that it was a lot crunched down, they still showed each scene in a way that at no point did you go, well, they're not really like they
Yeah.
clearly
Oh,
don't
yeah, yeah.
love each other. Like you really felt the emotion, which
Totally.
you got to give the writers credit for
Well, and
being
the
able
actors.
to put
Yes.
that much, and the actors
Yeah.
to just make you really involved and not feel like you missed anything.
Yeah.
But just make you want to have seen those in betweens.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the way they were acting, I was like, oh, I could definitely tell like something went on and how they're connected. I wanted more, but you're right, I didn't need it.
Yeah.
Like, I need to see the fishing episode or
Right.
the,
Like it would have been, and like if you get more,
It kind of reminds you of Rebels, because Rebels,
Yeah.
I felt would have been stronger if they just pulled out a lot of the filler, because the fillers would
Yes.
always make me drop off of Rebels.
yeah, Rebels
know.
should have been 7 episodes,
It would have been great.
right?
All right, well, I think that's the end of it. Thank you for watching our opinions on Star Wars Visions. Let us know down below what your 2 favorites were and your 2 least favorites were, or what you rank them. Give us a tier list, because you have it in front of you. We don't have it in front of us. Makes it hard to do a tier list.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm Benny, that is Dan, that is Sal, and we are Absolutely Marvel and DC, where we chat about all of your favorite superhero-themed discussions involving movies, TV shows, and video games, and sometimes we also chat about Star Wars or horror movies or just other things. We theme heavily into the superhero world. Thank you guys so much for your support. We'll see you next time right here.